All right, folks, let's dive right into it. Today, we're talking about the infamous Tate brothers. You might have heard of them, Andrew and Tristan, modern-day icons of masculinity for some, cartoonish villains for others. Whether you love them, hate them, or secretly binge-watch their videos at 2 a.m., one thing is undeniable: they've got a story worth unpacking. Now, here's how it all started. Picture this: two brothers growing up poor in the United Kingdom. Poverty, hardship, homelessness, these weren't buzzwords in a motivational TikTok, it was their reality. From gritty beginnings to multi-millionaires driving supercars, no, this isn't your classic feel-good Hollywood script. This is something else entirely. So how did they do it? Well, first things first, these guys weren't exactly racking up dollars by selling lemonade. They started in professional kickboxing, fighting, sweating, and bleeding their way to credibility. No easy shortcuts there. It's respectable. You can't just hate that grind, even if you want to, but here's where it gets spicy. Their real jumpstart came from the adult entertainment business, webcam models, long before your favorite influencers discovered OnlyFans. Now, let's pause for a moment. On one hand, you might think, all right, entrepreneurial hustle, market demand met, money made, pure capitalism. On the other hand, you're probably asking, hold up, doesn't this cross a line? Isn't this exploitation or something? And that's the kicker. Tristan and Andrew openly leverage relationships, charisma, and good looks into building an empire. Ethical questions, plenty. Profitable, obviously. Inspirational, well, that's for you to decide. Let's talk about transparency for a second. Unlike many gurus who preach from rented Lamborghinis, the Tate brothers seem to actually walk the walk. Bugattis, mansions, private jets. They're living proof that the hustle pays off. And honestly, part of you respects that bold authenticity, even if it feels uncomfortable admitting it. But here comes the sarcastic twist. Sure, they're self-made millionaires, but doesn't self-made feel slightly exaggerated when your fortune is literally built on the backs or webcams of women you dated? Isn't there something deeply ironic about men selling alpha masculinity while financially relying on women's sexuality? Yet, you can't deny their determination. Coming from homelessness to supercars isn't luck. It's strategic, calculated effort. And that's the part that keeps people coming back. We might roll our eyes at their methods, but you have to acknowledge the raw audacity to live life without apologies. Ultimately, this origin story isn't just about wealth. It's about power, perception, and the blurred lines of morality in modern success stories. So are they heroes, villains, or simply opportunists of the modern age? Well, grab your popcorn. That's exactly what we're about to explore. Imagine growing up believing in classic fairy tale romance, monogamy, one soulmate, happily ever after. Now, let's throw that out the window. According to Tristan Tate, that traditional script was ripped apart early. Influenced by their father's unapologetic approach to relationships, the brothers soon found themselves navigating the tricky waters of non-monogamy openly and unapologetically. So here's the deal. Tristan admits that at 16, loyalty didn't cross his mind much. Call it youthful arrogance or brutal honesty, either way, he recognized early that monogamy wasn't his cup of tea. But let's flip that coin for a moment. Does embracing this openly non-monogamous lifestyle liberate you, or does it just justify selfishness? Tristan describes his shift vividly, initially covert, eventually transitioning to a fully transparent setup. He proudly acknowledges he doesn't hide the women he dates from each other. Transparency, he argues, is power. And it's hard to disagree with the logic. If everyone knows the rules, who's being hurt? Sounds good on paper. Tristan confidently declares women willingly share high-status men. Is that insightful or cynically manipulative? Are these women genuinely embracing freedom or quietly swallowing pride because of wealth and status? There's something profoundly unsettling about reducing emotional complexities to simple economics. Yet again, Tristan and Andrew's transparency, often brutal, is appealing. No sneaking, no lying, just raw honesty. You might respect it, envy it, or despise it, but it's refreshingly direct. On the flip side, isn't there a cold transactional flavor here? Aren't genuine connections sacrificed for the sake of status and ego? Then again, here's a hard truth. Tristan might have a point about our societal hypocrisy. We glorify monogamy, but quietly accept infidelity as commonplace. Could openly structured non-monogamy just be a mature alternative? So what do we have here? A new enlightened approach, or just cleverly repackaged immaturity? This relationship philosophy pushes buttons precisely because it exposes uncomfortable truths we usually prefer hidden. And maybe, just maybe, that's why people can't look away. Now let's talk details, specifically how Tristan Tate vets women and manages his famously controversial relationships. According to Tristan, there are clear distinctions: main chick, side chick, and casual hookups. He doesn't blur these lines, which is probably why he claims success in managing multiple relationships simultaneously. It sounds efficient, almost corporate, so structured that you might mistake dating for project management. Sarcasm aside, isn't there something strangely refreshing about clear-cut relationship boundaries? But wait, hold that thought. Tristan has specific criteria for vetting women: minimal body count, no excessive partying, zero tolerance for drug or alcohol addiction, and absolute loyalty. Fair enough on paper, but let's question the practicality. Are these standards realistic or just an idealistic fantasy designed to stroke an alpha ego? Could this rigorous vetting process potentially objectify women rather than genuinely build connections? Financial boundaries are even more intriguing. Tristan makes it clear no woman gets a monthly allowance unless she's the mother of his child. That's either very practical or borderline transactional, depending on who you ask. Is he protecting his assets, or is this financial strictness a method of control disguised as responsibility? Tristan's strategy is just brutally honest pragmatism. Most relationships involve some form of financial support. He's simply transparent and upfront about it. This candor might be uncomfortable, but it exposes uncomfortable truths we prefer hidden. Of course, it's easy to mock the rigidness of Tristan's dating system, but what if he's onto something? Maybe structured clarity really does save everyone involved from messy emotional disasters. Or perhaps he's simply reducing human relationships to a formula where feelings are minimized, efficiency maximized, almost robotic. So is Tristan's strategy genuinely smart relationship management, or is it coldly calculated, missing the warmth and authenticity of genuine connection? It's precisely this provocative tension that keeps us hooked. The Tate approach might repel you or fascinate you, but it undeniably forces you to question everything you've been taught about relationships. We've navigated through wealth, unconventional relationships, and meticulous vetting methods. Now it's time to delve into something even more complex: fatherhood, family, and risk management, Tate style. Tristan Tate approaches fatherhood as strategically as he approaches business. It's logistics, planning, and a heavy dose of pragmatism. He openly discusses strategically choosing where to raise his children to avoid problematic legal complications, like family law disputes common in the West. Practical? Definitely. Cynical? Well, that depends on your perspective. Now, here's the intriguing bit. Tristan manages multiple families. Each child and mother live conveniently along his daily route. Sounds efficient, right? But hold on, there's a nagging thought. Is family supposed to feel like an optimized delivery route? At what point does careful planning cross the line into emotionless administration? Tristan himself argues that he's providing stability and financial security, avoiding toxic court battles that many families endure. It sounds reasonable on paper. Yet let's flip that argument. Is he cleverly insulating himself from emotional responsibility? Could this logistical brilliance be a way to maintain control rather than genuine care? There's an uncomfortable honesty here. Tristan knows precisely what he's doing, minimizing his vulnerabilities, both emotionally and financially. And isn't it a brutal truth that many men secretly envy this control, especially if they've faced painful family breakups? Then again, how healthy is this clinical detachment really? Families aren't merely logistical puzzles. They involve messy emotions, imperfections, love, and sacrifice. By trying to perfectly engineer outcomes, is Tristan missing the very essence of family, those spontaneous, imperfectly human moments? Ultimately, Tristan Tate's approach is polarizing precisely because it reveals uncomfortable truths we usually prefer hidden. He challenges traditional norms and forces us to confront our beliefs about family, fatherhood, and responsibility. So, is Tristan revolutionizing fatherhood with smart planning and pragmatism, or is he sterilizing something inherently emotional? The answer isn't straightforward, and maybe that's the whole point. All right, folks, we've explored wealth, unconventional relationships, meticulous vetting, and even pragmatic fatherhood. Now, let's wrap it up by tackling something critical: achieving alpha status, and recognizing fake gurus. So what exactly makes someone alpha? According to Tristan Tate, it's a combination of money, status, confidence, and relentless self-improvement. Sounds compelling, right? Yet there's an undercurrent here. Is alpha status genuinely empowering, or is it merely chasing superficial validation? Tate emphasizes authenticity. Unlike online gurus who fake their lifestyle with rented supercars and paid models, Tristan proudly lives his truth. He owns his Bugatti, lives in mansions, and has the lifestyle to match his claims. On one hand, you have to respect that transparency. On the other, let's be real, is this alpha persona more about true self-improvement or simply reinforcing status anxiety? Tristan rightly criticizes fake gurus, those who exaggerate their success to prey on insecurities. Isn't this a valuable service, exposing frauds and promoting real standards? Yet, ironically, does Tristan's rigid definition of alpha status also exploit the same insecurities? Is he empowering men or subtly fueling their fears of inadequacy? Then again, Tristan argues achieving alpha status isn't just about external appearances. It's about genuine self-development, fitness, wealth, intelligence, confidence. Hard to argue against improving yourself, isn't it? But let's question further. Is Tristan's definition of self-improvement too narrow, too dependent on superficial markers like money and cars? Finally, Tristan's candidness forces us to consider uncomfortable truths. We live in a world driven by status. Pretending otherwise might feel morally superior, but is it realistic? Perhaps Tristan is just a blunt voice of realism, cutting through comfortable lies we tell ourselves. Ultimately, the Tate approach to alpha status and success is undeniably provocative. Whether you see it as insightful or superficial, genuine or manipulative, one thing is clear: it makes you think. So here's the final question. Is the Tate alpha philosophy genuinely inspirational, or is it just another cleverly marketed illusion? The answer, folks, lies in how honestly you're willing to face the mirror.